Technical difficulties. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Second Lap. I'm your host, Gramps. We are pleasure. We have the pleasure of being. See, Eric, I forgot how to speak English today. I have got Eric as a guest. Eric of Tinwiz. I say your last name is Devosh. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that is the right way. At least
Okay.
that's how I say it. I don't know.
But okay, well, I say it in my head, when you read a book and you're reading the book, and then all of a sudden somebody says the character out loud, and you're like, "Who's that?" Like, I think of the guy's name as XYZ. So yeah, so we're kicking off Rob's stumbling podcast on a Wednesday. Welcome back. Thank you for choosing to come back. We'll see if you come back for a third time. Eric, I usually just give a quick synopsis, and I'm on first, but we joined and it all came together. 37,544 is where I'm at as far as mileage. About a lap and a half is where I'm telling people I'm at now. I do this really for my mental state at this point in life. I'm kind of rushed today. I apologize. We started doing in January, actually December. We started doing 3 days a week in the gym, and we were doing our gym session. And I looked over and I'm like, oh shit, I've got a podcast in 10 minutes, and we had one more set. So we finished, we rushed back, we jumped in, and it probably is why I feel like I'm one step behind where I should be. But welcome. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me. You might be one step ahead of where you should be because you got some extra steps in this morning at the gym. So good for you.
Whew. Yeah. No, it's I'm starting to fog up. It's good to move, and sometimes it feels like I actually, you know what it is. I'm going to give you my explanation. I don't try and blame anything on things. I really do try and absorb responsibility for everything. And I think daylight savings time is the stupidest shit that we as modern adults continue to do, where we move that clock back and forth. We know it causes men to have heart attacks. We know it causes people to be off, and yet we do it. And then I spend about a month trying to like get back into the right gear of where I was. It just feels like you're always off. Like this morning, waking up, and it's like, isn't it an hour ago? Like, what's going on? So
Yeah.
anyway, so we're through that. It's our first week of that. I wanted to have you back. Just one was been about 11 months since you were here the last time, and we had a good time, good conversation. But in addition, you've had some news. You've had some big things happening in your business, your life in the last few weeks. I'm guessing actually last months, because these things don't just happen. There's usually lots of conversations and negotiations and things that go on. So, um, talk to me about it. How has that been?
Yeah. About 6 months ago in September, TintWiz was acquired by Full Steam. And like you said, that doesn't just happen overnight. So that was about a 6-month process prior to that as well. Um, and so, yeah, it's been exciting. Uh, it's been a lot in different ways, all good. So,
Well,
yeah.
you're a serial, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to label you. You're a serial entrepreneur. You're a guy that goes out and builds shit and does stuff. This seems like it's the logical step in a business, but how does it feel as, this is your baby? You've sold your baby. How does that feel?
It doesn't feel like I sold my baby. It feels more like, you know, it feels like like a proof of concept from one angle. It's like a proof of like, execution. So the ability to start a business, grow the business in a period of time to a point where it can go to another level, like an acquisition, a partnership, or whatever. And I think a lot of times businesses can just be something that you start and you don't ever look or consider like a next level or a transition or an end or whatever it is. It's not
Right.
about the money necessarily. It could be going public. It could be expanding locations, going from 1 to 10. It could be whatever that vision is, right? But
Right.
I don't think there's often like an end point or like a benchmark. And to me, this was like a benchmark. And I think like the biggest thing in a way is you mentioned serial entrepreneurship, like something like Gary mentions. I think he'll say like how now being an entrepreneur is cool, but like back years ago when he was younger, there was more like, and I feel like I can relate with that statement. It wasn't like entrepreneurism. It was just like you owned a business. It was being a business person, right?
Right. Right.
Saw it as an opportunity because my dad was in business for himself as an immigrant, didn't speak the language too well, and did great for himself. So I looked at it as like, okay, entrepreneurism or being a business person is a way to like escape the system, right? Like it's a way to,
Yep.
you don't have to follow the rules. You don't have to get at somebody else's approval. You just have to provide value and do something successfully. Um,
You're not
and
working for the man, right? Isn't that what they say? You go work for yourself as opposed to the man.
But it wasn't that the man is a bad thing. The way I looked at it was I didn't think the man was going to see my potential.
Okay.
I didn't think my resume, I didn't think I was going to be able to present myself in a way that felt fulfilling. I felt like I wanted to be outside of that because I didn't want to be in a little box. So what I'm saying
Okay.
is being able to grow Window Tint LA and sell it and then say, now we're going to start the software company and then grow that in another 5-year period and it be acquired. To me, it's not like a one-hit wonder, right? It's not like you were in
Yep.
the right place at the right time. It's
Right.
no, this was like execution, like did it, not saying like it was guaranteed, not saying I like knew how it was going to go, but it was execution. And now I'm able to execute with a different team for TintWiz, right? I'm not out of it. The company that acquired it, working with them full time. We're working on things that stretch me outside of my comfort zone. When you're year 4 and 5 in a business, you know, it's not necessary. It can be anything, right? I can't generalize,
Right.
but like there's certain restraints in come in. You're always like, if you're the boss, like you're the boss, like you're talking to your team, but like if you're the highest person in that business, you might be like the highest person year 3, 4, 5. And then when there's somebody that stretches you in a different direction, you have people to account, you have other people's input and so on. Like it's a growth opportunity. So whole thing's just been like exciting. It feels like a box has opened in a way. Like I'd been
When
in a
you
box for a few years and now it's the top is open.
Well, when you say that it's stretching you, is it stretching you like it's just putting you in situations that you're either uncomfortable or you didn't think about before? What do you mean by it's stretching you? What is it?
So,
What's it
so,
doing to you?
so in many directions. So first of all, there's more defined goals, right? Like I'm easier with myself on goals in the past where I'll set a big goal for myself. And if we hit it, I'm happy. And if we didn't, it's not a big deal. Now
Sure.
there's more like metrics and tracking and understanding where we're at right away. So like on a weekly basis, I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking at
Okay.
numbers that I knew were there before, but I didn't look at them that closely because I figured why look at them that closely. But the idea is that um okay, and then those numbers, it's not about the numbers, right? But those
Right.
numbers, then you say, well, now we have those numbers. How are we getting to those numbers? Let's define those things. What is happening this year? Put them in a report, right? Let's track them. Then, well, what is the best case opportunities? Where do we have room to make those things even better? Then it's like, okay, well, what are the things we might be missing? And like, I just got out of a meeting before this where we're talking about like AI initiatives.
Okay.
So because there's an internal AI initiative, I had a meeting with Josh and Ricky Miller, the Miller brothers. You know them
Miller
well,
Brothers. Yeah.
of course. And we had a good hour session, which was, transcribed and put together by Gemini. And I was able to sit down and hear their thoughts and how they're using AI and what things they would like to see in TinWiz. And then I was able to put in my own thoughts. And now we put that in a report, and I submitted that report a week ago. And then we've had 2 meetings about those things. And I've gotten extremely positive feedback about how this just seems like the greatest thing we should focus on. So now
Right.
if this didn't happen, if this acquisition didn't happen, the Miller brothers mentioned AI. I told them, well, we have so many things on our plate. Like, please, like, let's not even have the meeting right now. That's what I told them like 6 months ago, probably.
Okay.
And like, would I have put together a report, an initiative? Would I have a team that says we can put together resources to make these things happen? Like none of that. So that's where I say I'm being stretched because I'm still doing the things I was doing before, but I'm also doing this, and I could go on with
Sure.
more things. And like, I wasn't going to put that on my plate on my own. So,
Are you looking at things like customer retention and how to grow user base and things like that? Is that ultimately the reports you're talking about where you're trying to, I mean, and I was going to say you obviously cared about retaining customers before, but you probably weren't tracking it as close as you are now, I'm
Right.
guessing.
So before, our view on retaining customers was, as long as we're growing our user base and we can see that our user base, subscribed users, is growing,
Right.
and people in general tend to not leave if they use it for over a year, right? Those are
Okay.
things. We would look at it like that and we go, as long as those things are happening, and then obviously balancing in with what we know needs to be in there, and user feedback and so on. But as long as we were happy, we
Yep.
weren't on a granular level looking at like, how many people added this, this week? Well, how many of them were brand new? How many people returned, and when did they return? Like, how long did they leave for? Right. And then how
Right.
many people added locations? We weren't looking at that on a weekly, even a yearly basis, not at that level. And it's not, and it is, like you said, then it comes down to like, well, how can we retain them? Well, how can we retain them? Maybe how could we have never let them leave in the first place? Right. And then
Right.
how can we retain them? How can we build things around that and so on? So it's not, it's numbers, which sometimes can come off as corporate, but when it's nothing should be labeled one way or another. They're numbers, and your intention is like, our North Star, no matter what, is add value. So if we're retaining a customer, it has to be through adding value. Like, what else can we do? We're not dropping the price, I can tell you that 100%. We're not
Right.
in any way, like, that's not changing. That's not us. Now, other companies might say, look, when they click, they want to cancel, say, are you sure? What if we can give you the next month for $10 off? And then when you
Right.
say, no, I want to still cancel, they go, okay, well, we'll give you the next 2 months for free. Just consider staying. And they give you this, like, nonsense, in my opinion, way of retaining you. But you're not leaving because of the price. Like, nobody's ever leaving because of the price. They're leaving maybe because of the price to value, but not because of the price, not because they literally, not as a business tool. Not in, people aren't saying, I can't afford this. They're saying, I don't want to pay for this. It's not worth it. I want to get something else or whatever it is. So the point being is, we look at numbers more now than ever. But we also are looking at adding value, and that's the team we have behind us. And also, so let me give you another example. There's like let's say more of a pressure, right? And pressure
Sure.
might sound like bad, but like, that's the reality. Like, you have a company that just spent some money, and
Right.
they bought a company, and they did that to move the needle. They didn't do that to like let it
For
shrink or
fun.
stick or
Right.
whatever, for fun, right? Like, this is a real deal. So now, like, my goal here is to make sure that they say, this was like the best thing we ever did. So there's this pressure, right, to like grow and hit these numbers and so on. So
Right.
one of the things we say is like, get creative, because I don't want to ever shift from like the point of, we're a small company, we have a team behind us, but it shouldn't shift the fundamentals. We don't want to now add in all the things that make other companies kind of bloated and suck. We don't want to. That's not our time. It's not our
Right.
cue. Now bring in the bullshit. It's no. Now, like, make our knife even sharper. So an example of that would be some of the feedback that came out of this acquisition. A user mentioned, I really hope they can beef up their onboarding training, because it can take time to get where we grow. They have a big team. They have a very big
Right.
team. And they say it can take a lot of time to train everybody as we onboard, to train them on TintWiz. Now,
Right.
in general, TintWiz is a strength, is how easily you can onboard people, because it's not bloated and so on. But
Sure.
still, anything new has an onboarding, and it could be easier than it is. So
Okay.
now I have this pressure of like, this is a real deal. I have bosses and we have numbers and so on. I have this user that's saying, hey, look, you guys are raising the prices now. You're saying you're going to bring more things. I hope one of those things is that onboarding. Now, we're building now internally, and we're about to approach that user. Nobody knows. I know this is live, so if they're watching,
Yep.
they would
Yep.
connect the dots. But essentially, what I want to do is approach them and say, would you be interested in being paid as a contractor to build out the training that you think should be in place to train your users? Now, we'll supply money to you for your time, significant
Right.
money. Like, we're going to make it more exciting than your day job, because this is temporary and it's something of value for others. So you're going to get paid really, really, really well. And
Right.
then we're going to give you the resources. So we have graphic design, we have internal, it's like, we'll provide all the resources. We'll help you build this out. But like, you're going to be in charge. You're going to be the engineer. Build it as you want. We're going to make it worth your time. And then that goes into the community, and that person then becomes part of how that happens, as opposed to saying, let's hire a company, let's hire a person, let's go on Indeed and find some person who has experience building internal systems and training guides. And then they build some training guide, but like, then the users say like, this isn't good or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we turn it to the users. And I want to really leverage like the money, the resources, the energy, and now put it onto our users. So another example is when we integrated now our new payment processing, because the company that acquired us is a payment processing company. We instantly said, all right, let's take on beta users. And then the people who signed up first, we didn't tell them, but the people who signed up first, we offered them a contractor payment. And we said, hey, you're going to get your terminal. If you make a video on it, any video on it, this is how the box came. I'm opening it. This is what I'm doing. It's confusing. This is not confusing. We'll pay you a flat fee for that video. And that's something that, again, we didn't say, hey, we have to hire a videography company. We're a corporate company. We have to spend thousands of dollars on a thing. No, it's like, no, we're going to take that money and throw it at our users and say, here, we're going to make we're going to take something you might do on your own, and we're going to pay. Like, people say, I do it for free. I know you do it for free, but you're going to get paid. That's going to be the fun part of this.
We're going to incentivize you. No, I like that. And I want to go all the way back to one of the first things you said. That whole, hey, they're canceling and it's not about the money and it's not about the half price and it's not ever. I've canceled a couple of subscriptions myself in the last 3 weeks. And it's worse than getting a root canal. Like, you're clicking like, no, I don't freaking want this anymore. Are you sure? We'll stroke your baby. No, I still don't want to have it. So I'm very, I guess, impressed that you see that as well, and you sort of take that off, because it's, I don't know, that kind of, and I'm in sales, been for 30 years. That kind of pressure just feels like wrong.
So let's be clear, like TinWiz from beginning, to start your subscription or to cancel your subscription. First of all, just to sign up, you don't need a credit card. You get a credit card. You put a credit card when your trial's over. So we're not trying to get you on like, well, you put in your credit card and then you forgot about it. We don't do any of that. We don't even really remind anybody, to our fault, that their subscriptions, like if you're not using it, you don't know. So if you're using it, then you put in your credit card. To cancel, you just literally go to settings, subscription, hit cancel. It's one button. We ask you why you're canceling. If you want to type something in, we appreciate it. If not, just hit cancel and we're done. We don't offer, we don't call you, we don't try to get you back. That's the reality. But the reality of that is like, yeah, we're maybe leaving money on the table, right? Maybe some people are like, oh, this whatever. But I believe that I'd rather keep it simple and self-serve, and then say, our users use us because they actually want to use us, and not because we tricked them, not because they forgot. Blah, blah, blah. And if we don't get the growth we want, we have to add more value. People go to those sort of tactics when they don't know how to add value, so they try to add tricks, and they add leverage and arbitrage and arm twisting. And like, that's a losing game. You're buying from the future. You're buying from your future. And I don't want to buy from my future. I want to add to my future.
I like that. Well, I hope that everybody's listening, because I think it's the right way to go. I think, as you said, sort of playing on the idiosyncrasies or the idiocracies of the human race as a way to, hey, this is how we're going to stump the chump and keep the bill going. Is, anyways, I'm digressing. You're part of this new organization, or it's not a new organization. You're part of this organization now, as you said. Are you like a general manager of TintWiz, or what are they titling you as now?
So I'm the vice president of operations, which, you know, is like, there's like, essentially, look, the way this works is it's a company that is a technology company, that their technology is a payment processing platform. So they're like a Square or a Stripe, and their growth way of growing is by acquiring companies that have invoices going through them, platforms of different industries. Some of those industries, like one of those industries is a group called the automotive group. And within that automotive group are the businesses that they bought that have automotive related, you know, software. ourselves we're like make like we fit into that. Even so, we do residential commercial, we fit into the auto group. There's a company called Urable that is similar to us, but for the detailing space primarily. They're
Okay.
also within that group and so on. So we still operate as Tintwiz independently, like as a company. All the staff is the same. We still like I'm still making day-to-day decisions. All the stuff is the same, really. But
Right.
there's kind of now like the oversight of the leaders of each group meeting, the leader of the group, the main over group, then just different segments like that. There's different teams that
Okay.
oversee multiple groups, but we're still Tintwiz.
Well, good, because I have your sticker on the back of my phone and I don't want to get rid of it. So I'm going to keep Tint Wizzy. I think that's what I call him on the back of my phone. I got to see Cadeau this last week. He seemed super excited, and doing well, and in level, or the cool side of the pillow is what I would say, even with a move and everything else going on. So, but we ripped some stickers. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, or if
I
you
didn't see, I didn't see the rip. I saw the picture that he posted of you guys together, but I didn't see the rip yet. But as you said, Cadeau is like cool side of the pillow Cadeau. And he was out for the Autobahn window film conference that Tintwiz was gracious, like super appreciatively invited to. And that is kind of an example. First of all, I think it might have been the most fun conference from what Cadeau said and Tanya. But outside of that, that's another example of something as Tintwiz now, like we're going to lean into even more. We were always trying to support dealer conventions, like in conferences, but
right,
leaning further into that is something we can do, because one aspect of having like corporate oversight is people sometimes think of like you're going to have budget cuts and things like that. And this so far hasn't been
right,
that sort of thing. It's quite the opposite. It's where can we find growth and add more value? So the answer to that is partnerships like the one with Autobahn and attending these conferences and being able to engage with the dealers and add value and so on. And now with that corporate oversight, I don't have that personal pressure of the finances as tight as before. So we can say, let's line up the list of all the opportunities and let's take like full advantage of all the opportunities, not be budgeting. So it's kind of it's I'm enjoying the process, and what I want to do is also share that process over this year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it turns out to be, like over the interesting part of the process. I'm not saying that's a timeline, but the part like right now, I think people are more interested in like what's going to happen, what's going on,
sure.
what changes. And like I want to bring that transparency to the community, the window film community, and whoever the Erik DeVosh community, if there is one, because I feel like there's insight and growth and learning lessons and perspective that can be built upon for their own businesses and lives and so on. So I never knew that, like, as a business owner, there was a very small chance I would ever be part of a big corporation. They would have to pluck me and make me a big offer to just say, come work for me. Right. I didn't really think. And now I'm in a position where I get to have this job that, it's not a normal job. I kind of have some freedom, but I also have this corporate insight where I can learn and I can also share that knowledge and experience.
Well, change is always scary. Change always brings things that people will apply fear to, or just the unknown. So being transparent and sharing that experience, I think that it'll behoove all the people to follow. And I think there is a Erik DeVosh community. I'm I'm still waiting to get in. They have a really, really what? They have a really like aristocratic process to get in, and I've
See, you
I've
saw
made
the
it past
door
gate two.
close. The door's closed because nobody came in yet. Nobody opened it yet. You just assumed it was locked. It's open. Just ring
Damn
the
it!
handle.
Oh, there's nobody in there. That's what it is. Okay, I'll
That's what
get
it
that
is.
figured out. No, it's good to. I appreciate. Thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate you being transparent and sharing that. Are you? I'm trying to think. Do you have any like big goals? Like, are you wanting to mentor certain people through this? I mean, is there other things that we haven't talked about that this brings to you? Like, sort of new I don't know, business development kind of things? Or, you know what I mean? Is there other things that this
Yeah.
brings to you?
Yeah. So part of part of what this opens up is an opportunity to do consulting, which is something I've always wanted to do. So like as a business, like, I get the idea of owning a business, right? Like if obviously I get the idea of building businesses, you own it, you build it. The ownership is part of how you have control of it and the whole thing,
Right.
right? But
Right.
but like it's not necessarily like the part that like it's not like in my heart I have to own things. And what I enjoy is more like the problem solving, right? Like the business could be the problem solving or the problem solving within the business. The how do we do what somebody else did but faster and better, and maybe how do we fix this hiring process? How do we market better? How do we rethink something and so on? So what excites me is like that. And throughout the years of Window Tint LA and then Tint Wiz, I'm doing that only for that business, right? Pretty much. I mean,
Right.
sometimes
Right.
that you're talking to people, but for the most part, what this allows me to do moving forward is Tint Wiz is my day job. It's my full time. It's my career. However, I can now do consulting outside of that as well. Not for CRM companies. I could wipe that right off anybody's thought. Not for anything that competes with Full Steam, but I can do consulting for flat glass companies or automotive companies or service businesses outside of window film or whoever or whatever.
Right.
And I am excited about that because I like I said, find the solution to the problem, rethink something, make a big impact. And that can be applied to existing businesses kind of more. Like if you think like a little magic wand or some pixie dust, you can go to a business that has a problem, do that, have this big impact, and move on to another business and move on to another problem in that business or whatever it is without
Sure.
having every single part of that business on your plate and then that limiting almost what you do. So I'm definitely doing consulting. I started ericdevash.com, which is basically like a blog site where I'm continuously going to be sharing clips from like this podcast, for example. And then what I
Right.
do is I take the clip, I expand on it in text in longer form. And that's the idea. So I can expand on ideas. And, since I started Tint Wisdom years ago, which now is just an archive, which was a window film podcast that started really talking about Tint Wiz and expanded into a community podcast where we do interviews and we'd have groups and so on. But since I started doing that, and that was without a doubt inspired by Gary Vee,
Right.
and the reason inspired by Gary Vee was because he would say he would post things that he said years ago, and he would say, "Look, I documented it then, I said it, and now it came true years later." So like he constantly does that thing of like making that prediction and coming through. And if you look back at Window Tint, if you go back to Tint Wisdoms, I think you could listen to every single episode, and I would challenge you to find something that wasn't accurate, that still isn't relevant today or didn't play out. And that comes down to even down to people who use TintWiz are the more successful window film companies in the industry, whether it's flat glass and automotive or flat glass and so on. Like that still plays out. And
Right.
I want my blog and my clips and ericdevash.com basically to be the home of where, regardless of if it's TintWiz or it's something unrelated or whatever, but if you go to ericdevash.com, I want that to be the tracking of like, hey, moving forward, these are Erik's thoughts. This is kind of where you can see them, you can read them, you can ask questions, you can get involved, whatever, and you can track it, right? It's not this is my thought today, and this is what I'm trying to grift on social media, and tomorrow I do something else. It should be a long form tracking of the business moving forward and of thoughts and so on, so that
So it's
people
a,
can read and hopefully be helped by something that I think.
so I hear accountability, but I also hear, I don't want to say resume building, but sort of a database that shows, hey, this is, and I don't think that you're telling me, hey, I'm doing this because I want everybody to know I was right on everything. It's more just legitimacy, I guess maybe is the word I'm looking for.
I'm really glad you brought that up. So you're right. It's not that I'm trying to say I'm right or anything. And I don't really even
Right.
post this stuff on my social stuff. What it is that it's very difficult. It's more and more difficult now to know who to listen to. It's always been difficult to know who to listen to, but I would say now no more. And there's very it's just like the backgrounds and the audio and the effects and the dramatic of it. And you don't know who to listen to. And people at that point, then it becomes like noise, and it's just kind of like getting scammed with AI. You can get scammed with coach, you get scammed with advice, and that can lead you down like a crazy path. I mean, in some cases, people lose like tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They make crazy decisions based on bullshit. And like,
Right.
I'm seeing those people where like these are people that I'm seeing, like I physically see them. And then I see them in person at events, and then I'll see the bullshit they're putting online, and I can see how it's convincing. And I go, there has to be a way to differentiate at least my advice, whether it's right or wrong and you want to take it or not, from their advice, because I can't. I'm, everybody will say like, oh, I don't want to look like this. And so, and again, I have to differentiate myself from these coaches. So my way of doing that, because a lot of, when I say these coaches, I mean the grifters,
Right.
I have a business. I don't really love it and it kind of sucks. So I'm going to sell you on the idea that my business is awesome and it's perfect and you should pay me to tell you how to make your life perfect. But my life sucks, but I'm going to pretend it's perfect. So you pay me. And like,
Right.
that shit sucks. So anyway, the pure point, it's accountability. Not because I feel like I need to impose it on myself, but because I feel like that sort of accountability, transparency, and long-term and lack of editing and just clarity will speak for itself and help people identify like, hey, this is somebody that I should follow or like listen to. I'm not trying to build a community of people to like meet up, or I'm not selling a course. I don't need 1,000 people to meet somewhere. I'm
Right.
not trying to build a community like that at all, frankly. I just want to be able to put out my thoughts and ideas, and people that want to read them be able to find them, read them, and believe them if they want to.
I like that. And I guess I hadn't thought about it. I've experienced it, which is, who do you believe? What do you believe? It used to be you could go Google something, that's a verb for us old people, and you would get like, okay, if I look in the top lines, yeah, the first couple are going to be the ones that the guy paid to have as advertised, but then the next two are the legitimate ones, and I know I can go there and I'm going to get the answers. I don't know that exists anymore. I'm using AI more and more. I'm a Grok guy. I don't know if that's the right thing to say out loud, but I'm using Grok. It's part of X. It's part of something, and I'll go in, like I'm interviewing for jobs right now, and I'll go in and I'll say, "Tell me about X, the company I'm talking to," and it'll give me everything I needed to know and then something. Um, I guess my point, the ADD kicks in. Having something like that where you've got ericdevosh.com and it's yours and you own your real estate, and you can go, I guess you can then make sure that you have the legitimate information you want there, and over time become sort of that trusted site, if you will, versus just being in the noise, as you said.
Yeah, I'm not interested in putting like, it's kind of the concept of how much energy you're going to put out there. And if I try to put out like energy to be like a Gary V or like a version of that, which everybody's trying essentially some version of that, like
Yep.
what I mean by that, if I'm trying to say like, well, I'm going to put clips on like Instagram and LinkedIn and my Facebook, and I'm going to do YouTube, and I'm going to build this all up, like you tend to like maybe run out of content because you're just on this content schedule, and like you're just like, are you really built for that much content? Like, let's be realistic. And then your numbers may lag and you're everywhere, so you're nowhere. And then at some point you literally say like I'm not, it's going nowhere, I'm literally going to stop, right? And I don't want to do any of that. I'm not interested in like a lot of like views or follows. Like I'm not saying I'm above that or something. Of course it'd be great like if I make a video and it gets tons of fucking views, that's amazing,
Right.
that's the
Right.
best
Right.
case scenario. But it's not really like my metric. What I've enjoyed over the years was the feedback that I got from doing Tint Wisdoms, which people will tell me at almost every convention, when are you going to do more of them? I still listen to them. And the idea, and then I'll come across things where like I have an opinion, I want to talk about something, and I go, well, what am I going to do? Just make a video? Like, what is that? It just does. It's like, so you don't do it. And then I find a lot of the best conversations I'm having with people are one-on-one conversations. And I'm going, that's great, but like I want to have those one-on-one conversations, but I want other people to have access to them in a way. I don't want them to be one-on-one. I want to get these thoughts out there. So that's the concept, is just have a place people can go to read it. I think Google and AI and search is a great way, and the website will accomplish that. A website mixed with YouTube. I don't think I need Instagram, even though obviously like Instagram works. Like my strategy will be like other people. If I'm on like your podcast, you're gonna probably make clips. You're gonna
Yep.
ask me. You're gonna invite me as a collaborator, and I'm gonna accept that. But like from my angle, I didn't have to clip through an hour and a half podcast to make shorts like you did that. So, or you're going to do that. Like, I know
Yeah.
that. So that's kind of the concept where like, don't try to do everything. You don't have to be this big business and all that, but like, just get your message to some people, because if 100 people read my blog post, I'm super happy. If 10 people, if 1,000 people, it's not really about the metric, but it's like somebody read it and found value. That's like me putting back in the world what I'm thankful for, because I learned everything I learned from other people, and I truly didn't make it up. Like it's all a combination of things you read, listen to,
Yeah.
meet. You're not like, I'm not making anything in my head. I'm just
Sure.
regurgitating.
We're absorbing and
Yeah.
choosing to process at our own spin. Yeah, I no, I get it.
You put it back out there, you know?
And yeah, put it back out there. And we will, Ronnie's listening. We will cut this up and we will invite you to be a
I want the whole
collaborator.
thing, and I want to clip it up for my blog post. What I'm simply saying is like, I want the whole thing, and I'll clip it up. And I will put those, like I do that. You can check now. There's already clips. So I'm not saying that I don't want to clip things up, but what I'm saying is to the point of like, well, I wish this was on Instagram. Well, it will be on Instagram, and and if it wasn't, no big deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, who
Yeah.
cares? YouTube's
Yeah.
good enough. Or one place is good enough. Be strong somewhere, not weak everywhere.
I
You
hear
know?
you. So let me ask an odd question. Maybe they've all been odd. Do you have, other than the window tint, call it automotive manufacturing, automotive area, do you have, hey, this is, Eric's passion. He's into surfing or he's into flying model planes or, is there other areas that I would be surprised that this is an area that you find fun and are interested in?
I don't know if I would tell you anything that's surprising, but to narrow it down, I like being home with my family. And I like there's nothing that really beats that. So like part of
Agreed.
why I work from home, part of like why I have like systems, or like why I say work remotely and all this. It's all self-serving essentially. Like at my core, I was working from home in college. I worked from home after college. Like I just had periods of time where I work from home. Those are the ones I enjoy most. Now having a family, that means more than ever. Outside of that, I like gardening. This isn't a real picture, but I do like gardening. So you could find me in between like working on the house or handyman stuff that I enjoy doing. I'll probably be gardening or buying plants. And outside of that, it really is like maybe hiking, or just again being out with like our family, just
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
doing
The
something.
gardening one
That's it.
surprises me. So you did get one that surprised me. Is it food? Like I'm on a garden, carrots and potatoes? Is it petunias? What's your, is there
It's
anything specific?
it's more, I think no, it's not anything specific. But it's more like the environment that it creates, like a
Okay.
lush or a decorative environment.
Okay.
There's just something fulfilling to lots of plants and decorate, like whether it be landscaping outdoors or indoors or whatever it is.
Do you
Um,
have times where you ignore your device and just go do things? Is there ways that you're able to escape?
so I really, really, really enjoy listening to things. So like if I'm
Me too.
escaping, I always have like, I'll put an ear pod in, I'll be listening to something on YouTube, like a clip of not music, like a clip or something, a podcast or something on
Yep.
YouTube. And I'll either be like, if I was like repairing something or gardening, I'm listening to something. When I go to sleep, I can't go to sleep. I mean, I don't want to say I can't, but like my routine, I need this in my life, is like I'm listening to something as I fall asleep with a in my ear. And then when I wake
Okay.
up, probably stopped. And if not, I put something back in. Like it puts me down. It relaxes me to have something talking in my ear. I think what it does is it shuts off more of my internal thinking, and it turns on somebody else's talking. So I'm receiving their information instead of being the one thinking and receiving the information,
Right.
which helps slow my brain down a bit and relax.
I love it. I was going to say, I tell people that I put my AirPods in and I go to school because I put my feet and I start walking, but I'm continuously and I don't know what it is, and I like the way that you're describing it. If it's trying to quiet my own brain enough to be able to, ingest the other information. But yeah, I do the same thing. I put my earbuds in and I go for a walk, and uh, I do consume mostly podcasts, and I do some books, and I'll do things like where I'll talk to a friend. We're older, and you're over 40. I still
It's gray hair.
prefer to talk to people as opposed to texting, where I've got a whole bunch of kids now that I'm used to watching. I feel like I can hear my dog barking, and I don't, and they usually walk by when I'm here. I stopped at a spot where they'll walk by. Um, I was asking the phone thing in that I said this earlier, I will put my phone down and I'll put something over it. So even if the cameras were activated by a bad actor, they couldn't see. And then I go and I walk my dog so that I'm not two timing with my dog, like so that she knows that she doesn't really know this, but I'm just giving her the attention. But I do the same thing. I have always got an earbud in. My wife's the same way. I always got an earbud in so that they can consume. As we come to wrap this up, I think we have one question from a caller. Yeah. They just wanted to know the hoodie that you're wearing. Is that a Tint Wiz hoodie? What are you
Oh, it's
what are you wearing?
Solar Guard Tint Wiz hoodie. Yeah. So this
Okay.
was the design that we did for SEMA.
Okay.
And we were in the SEMA booth for Solar Guard. So this is the collaboration hoodie. And we tend to do merch for every single event. So if I go to an event, I end up with I wear hoodies and t-shirts like religiously. So I'll end up with maybe 1 to 2 hoodies a day and 1 to 2 t-shirts a day that are on brand. So over a 5-day event like SEMA or a 6-day event like SEMA, I collect, 10, 15 versions of these. So then moving forward, I have this crazy collection of hoodies and t-shirts from different events that I wear. I don't buy any clothes. I just wear these.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I was gonna say there's almost a business in there. Like you could have like a refurbished hoodie.
Well, I'll tell you this. The last event we went to, I actually saw Ronnie at was Coolview, the Coolview National Dealer Franchise Convention in St. Pete, Florida. And I had a ton of them, and then we had ordered too many and I wasn't able to ship all of them. So I had extra at my house. So I've been wearing Coolview, and they're super branded Coolview everywhere. And I gave them to my mom, and my wife wears them. And I'm like, wow, we are really putting on for this franchise in Southern California. So
that's funny.
And Solar Guard, they got to mention because of it. So it does work in what you're saying, in a sense.
For sure. Is that the last question? Is that where I saw you and Cadeau on the beach looking like you were at a Sandals doing a interview with each other?
That was at the Coolview National Franchise Convention, and Cadeau and Justin, our videographer, which is amazing. If anybody needs a videographer, reach out and I'll put you in touch with Justin. But they put that setting together, and I think it came out incredible. We have clips on ericdevash.com if you're wondering what he's talking about. But the best setting, the audio is perfect. We're out on the white sandy beach of west coast of Florida on the Gulf with the ocean behind us, and we're sitting there talking with perfect audio and video, and they killed it with that. Cadeau and him.
It was awesome. No,
that's where the
really
convention
awesome.
should have been.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys should sell shoes. Like you guys look like you're in a comfortable loafer kind of thing, and if you put a pair of shoes off to the side on Whatnot, you might sell a shitload of them. But yes, thank you, Ronnie. I was gonna say I follow him as well.
JR Media, J Reed Media, rather. J Reed Media, at J Reed Media is Justin, the videographer's handle.
He's a stud. I got to meet him here in Dallas this last week. Thank you for doing this with us. I appreciate you being willing to come back. Hopefully it wasn't too, in your face about, hey, what'd you do? But really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on here. I'll be on anytime you have a spot for me.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Eric. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you can go out and do some real gardening.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy your day.
Take care. All right. Bye.